Life is too short, and with the blink of an eye, the end can come quickly. But for some, their life is chosen to be taken away due to their disturbing and violent behavior and harm to society. How do the families of the innocent people feel when their loved ones are wrongly convicted and sentenced to this extreme punishment? For some, their lives end full of joy and memories made in that journey. This is the case of Carlos de Luna. Carlos de Luna was born on the 15th of October in 1962 and lived in Texas, United States. De Luna was convicted for the stabbing of 24 years old and single mother Wanda Lopez in a local gas station at the time. The crime scene was very violent, with blood on the floor and the walls.
I have a suspect with a knife inside the store.
What's he doing with a knife? Has he threatened you in any way?
Not yet. You want it? I'll give it to you. I'm not going to do nothing to you.
2602 South Padre, got an armed robbery going down right now. Get out of him.
De Luna was sentenced to death penalty by lethal injection and was executed in 1989. 15 years later, the case is reopened, and the police starts a new investigation in this case to find out that the real man they were looking for was Carlos Hernandez.
Also, witnesses are saying he had a white untagged t-shirt. I don't know if it's another suspect or the same one.
Carlos Hernandez allegedly boasted he was the killer. He looked a lot like Carlos de Luna, and unlike de Luna, Hernandez was a known violent criminal who liked to use a knife on his victims, one similar to the one found at the crime scene.
Could you tell me about yourself?
My name is Hubert. It's very difficult for me to talk about myself because I live in multiple universes. I've been working as a teacher and a counselor for the last 20 plus years. Right now, at the moment, I work in Ivor Valley School in Biggleswade, but I also work as a counselor, independent counselor, and I organize meditation mindfulness classes here in locally in Hitchin. But I'm also an artist, and I also do some voluntary work for Amnesty International and other organizations.
What do you think about death penalty? Do you think it's on the justice side, or do you think that this is just an old-fashioned extreme way of punishing people?
I think to answer the question would be very difficult because the answer is more about. I approach this question more as an anthropological issue, I would say, and also issue on religious grounds and ethical grounds. I think death penalty is quite an obsolete thing to think about, basically because it's related to law that has been established by Abrahamic religions, or religions that basically are related to a very dualistic kind of ethical system. I'm not sure if it's on justice side. I think still, when it comes to political systems, justice is being misunderstood, and I think justice as such and legal systems are not updated and not upgraded at all in many countries. Hence we have situations like the ones that Amnesty works on, which is about basically bringing some awareness of the fact that there are always some eventualities and some other ways to go about certain penalties, and it doesn't have to be death penalty, and I guess it's also about the political systems understanding basic human rights, basic universal declaration of human rights, which was adopted in 1948 in 8 countries at the time. It still hasn't been adopted by many countries. I think even here in the UK, which is just supposed to be, an advanced democracy, but it's still not. I think it just doesn't work properly as it should. So definitely, punishing people through death penalty is not a good idea.
The last time someone was sentenced to death penalty in the UK was in 1964 by hanging. Do you think that this is still a very old-fashioned way of dealing with things?
Of course. I think the legal system has to acknowledge the basic understanding of the fact that it should be about basically bringing this person back to society, or maybe if this doesn't work, maybe it's about restructuring this person's understanding of what is the what's the core of the criminal act they have committed. I think the legal system in UK doesn't understand it at all. I'm very pessimistic about UK in many ways, and as you said, 1964 was over 55 years ago now, and I think not much has changed, to be honest. So it's definitely extreme, it's definitely old-fashioned, and I think it just doesn't work. It's just something that belongs to the past, really.
Do you think that if the death penalty came back to being legal in the UK, that the crime rate would decrease, or perhaps people would be intimidated by it?
I don't think so. I don't think that death penalty as a threat to people who are possibly have the potential to basically commit a certain crime doesn't work. I think it's the legal system should start working on gradual change towards re-educating the people who are accused of certain crimes, not just working this way. I think I'm very pessimistic when it comes to legal system in UK because it just simply doesn't work. The best example is how the legal system in UK is going about the drugs issue. I think other countries in Europe are doing much better in that respect.
In America, most states still do have the death penalty and the death row sentences. Do you think technology could prevent innocent people from getting the death penalty, or would technology just in general would prevent situations like this to happen?
I think United States is a very probably the worst example of of legal system in the world, because it's it doesn't refer to what the founding fathers of American democracy were having in mind when it comes to creating a certain legal system. And we have to remember that the founding fathers and the idea of American Constitution was based on something completely different, completely contrary to what's happening now in American politics. And it makes me think that most of the things in United States is a question of market society, market economy. A country that basically is proud of itself having prisons or correctional institution that basically that are basically businesses, is something that is a contradiction in terms. It's not about re-educating, reinstating those people. It's not about working towards a safer society, because it just doesn't work. And also because the legal system in the US is such a generalized product of basically market economy, when ethics is it's not really present. It's just makes you think that something has gone wrong. So no, I don't think it's a good example at all.
Maybe one day the truth will come out, and I'm hoping it will. Because if I end up getting executed for this purpose, I don't think it's right.